Hello, everyone. This is KidUp0415, and in this episode of Buddhism 200, we're going to discuss whether Buddhism is a religion. And we'll go over some definitions of religion, and then we'll explore is definition of religion or is Buddhism a religion? That question. Is that more in the eye of the beholder or not? So let's go ahead and explore first different sort of definitions of religion. So I'm going to go ahead and disappear for a second. There we go. All right, so let's take a look at some of these definitions. So we have from Merriam-Webster, the definition of a religion is a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. So if we use this definition, a spiritual but not religious person could potentially have a religion. Then we go to 2A, number one, the service and worship of God or the supernatural. That sort of brings a lot of belief systems into play as well, because anything with sort of a supernatural element that someone worships could come into play there. So that could be considered religion according to that definition. Commitment or devotion to religious faith or observance. If we use that definition, that's also very broad. It encompasses a lot of faiths. So that encompasses a lot of belief systems as well. And then the third is a cause, principle, or system of beliefs held to with ardor and faith. So that's something like social justice is my religion. That could be something for fitting that definition. So that's also a very broad definition. It encompasses a lot of sort of beliefs that, we might technically say, well, that doesn't mean it's a religion. But for that particular definition, it could. And then Macmillan, the belief in the existence of a god or gods. That makes it very tricky for Buddhism because although there is the 31 planes of existence, the gods in those 31 planes of existence are not all that exciting or powerful or anything. So that's very tricky when it comes to that. Or 1A, a system of beliefs in a god or gods that has its own ceremonies and traditions. So in that particular, if we take that particular definition, then Buddhism is not a religion by any stretch of the imagination. The ceremonies and traditions are not geared toward any god or gods. It is more geared toward the pursuit of eliminating dukkha or suffering. So, and you can, I'll explain that in a second. Let's get to the last definition there. An activity or goal that is extremely important to you. So, once again, that would be like the third one of Merriam Webster. Social justice is my religion. So, that could be the situation there. So, a system of, let's go back to that one definition, a system of beliefs in a god or gods that has its own ceremonies and traditions. So every sort of tradition and ceremony from my school of Buddhism, the Theravada school, is sort of geared toward the pursuit of the cessation of dukkha. If you remember, that's the third noble truth in the Four Noble Truths, the cessation of dukkha. That is the goal. That is what every teaching and tradition and ceremony is sort of geared toward. There are people who may disagree with an interpretation of a ceremony or a tradition or what have you. But ultimately, from my standpoint, based on what I know in my own personal opinion, the ceremonies and traditions work toward the full realization of the Four Noble Truths. But that's not the only document I have with definitions. We also have a website here that has more definitions. So let's go over a couple of these. Religion is the belief in spiritual beings. And if we take that definition, that is a very broad definition that encompasses a lot of belief systems, mythologies, and so on and so forth. And mythologies actually were religions at one point, and they sort of fallen out of use. Like in my opinion, that's sort of why they're fallen out of use. There may be some people who still have faith in that particular system, but they're few and far between, comparatively speaking, to other religions and belief systems. So let's go to number 3. Religion is the feelings, acts, and experience of individual men in their solitude, so far as they apprehend themselves to stand in relation to whatever they may consider the divine. And that's sort of put out there by William James. And if we use that sort of definition, even if we use the first definition, there is a belief in spiritual beings in Buddhism because of the 31 planes of existence. But once again, they're not the central focus. And that's not what the author of that definition was focused on. It's just spiritual beings. And then this William James definition encompasses a lot, actually. We have feelings, acts, and experiences of individual men in their solitude. So far as they apprehend themselves to stand in relation to whatever they may consider divine. So basically figuring out their place when it comes to divine. And when we talk about that, there's not really a divine aspect of Buddhism that is a central focus. Sure, yes, there are gods and what have you, but they're not the central focus. For say a monk, is looking to extinguish craving, which extinguishes dukkha, and therefore that's not applicable to them. For a layperson, maybe this definition would be closer because we do sometimes reflect upon we want qualities of divine, so that maybe we're reborn in a more heavenly plane, which is not what I'm thinking, but for some people that may be their goal. And that goes to something I'm going to say later. And then let's go to the sixth definition, and that's the last one I want to look at here. Religion is a system of symbols which acts to establish powerful, persuasive, and long lasting moods and motivations by formulating conceptions of a general order of existence and clothing these conceptions with such an aura of factuality that the moods and motivations seem uniquely realistic. So, this is more of a cultural sort of definition based upon what I'm getting from the wording, and it is from a work called Religion as a Cultural System. Now, I think it's very important to point out symbols. So there are certain suttas where the Buddha does certain things or what have you, and I don't think that that literally happens. I think it's symbolic of something. So symbolic of the Buddha's spiritual attainment, for example. Unless everyone was on drugs and when they wrote it down, that's sort of what they saw. But I wouldn't have any evidence for that. So I'm not going to say that that's exactly what happened. And I think another thing is aura of factuality. Factuality is a good key phrase here. People believe it so much that they believe it is a fact. And that certainly does happen to those that are very religious. And so they will say, well, it's just a fact that God exists and that God is this, that, or the other, whatever their belief system is, or, rebirth is a fact. If you want to take a Buddhist sort of perspective, and that the moods and motivations seem uniquely realistic. So the moods and the motivations from our endeavors, our spiritual endeavors, are make it uniquely realistic, more real to a certain point. And I do like that definition uh, quite a bit because I do believe that religion is highly influenced by culture, and how people practice their religion is highly influenced by culture. So that's my biasness there, definitely. But in another light, I would say that sometimes what definition we use and what belief we have about a religion or belief system really is in the eye of the beholder. So if someone does truly believe very strongly that Buddhism is just a way of life, that's what it's going to be to them, no matter what anyone else thinks. And no matter how much, say, maybe I try to convince them otherwise, which I wouldn't, because that would be very narrow sighted of me to not acknowledge that that is how some people perceive it, even though I may believe it is a religion myself. And similarly, if someone thinks that Buddhism is more of just a philosophy, then they're going to think, well, it's just sort of a philosophy. It's not really religious practice. But then there are those such as myself who would say that Buddhism is indeed a religion because there are traditions, there are ceremonies, there are practices that Buddhists will take part in. That sort of makes them formally a Buddhist. taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, practicing the 5 precepts. On the full moon Upanisatha days, they go to the monastery and they live like a monk for 24 hours. That to me is a religious practice, and therefore it is a religion. But as I stated earlier, there may be those who think of it as a way of life or a philosophy instead. And for those that do perceive that, they like not all of them, but there is a general consensus for those that see Buddhism as a philosophy or way of life that they can salad bar that into their own sort of religious beliefs. And in one of the definitions, that would certainly be true because it's a personal set of beliefs about the sort of religious plane. And that sort of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. Salad bar religion is sort of the picking and choosing from various religious traditions to create sort of your own set of beliefs, and then you sort of live your life, which is all fine and well as long as no one is getting hurt, in my opinion. But at the same time, there are certain things that rub me the wrong way. So there are people who say, I can believe in God, as in a salvation God, and be a Buddhist as well. And that's just, from the conservative side of my tradition, it's not necessarily 100% true because the Four Noble Truths are designed for our own personal spiritual salvation or deliverance, whatever you would like to call it. Um, and that is achieved through the extinction of suffering, the extinction of dukkha. And there's no one else in my tradition, there is no one else can do that for you. No one else. It is exclusively on your shoulders. And that's one of the reasons why I practice Buddhism, because it's my own responsibility. It's not the responsibility of anyone else to walk that eightfold path that we discussed in the basic Buddhism series. That's on me, and that's fully on me. And if we don't reach that sort of it's very difficult because nirvana is not really a state of being or anything. It's indescribable. But if nirvana is not achieved, that is on me, wholly on me. It's not my teacher's fault. It's not the text's fault. It's my fault. And I am perfectly willing to say that that is something that I'm comfortable with. And that is why I tell many people, do not become a Buddhist such as like myself, unless you're able to say that's exactly what I think, that's what I believe. And so in the end, when it comes to is Buddhism a religion, we have to look at what definition of religion are we looking at, and then we have to think, well, what is it to us? So for me, it's a religion. I practice it. I do the chants. I try to practice 5 precepts. I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and I try overall to just be someone who tries to promote compassion, loving kindness, those sort of attributes that are favorable for someone such as myself. That doesn't mean that I try to convert anyone. I actually tell people don't do that because it's actually really difficult. There's a lot of self-discipline involved and a lot of reflection. So if you're a very busy person, it can be very demanding. And so it's sort of where it's like, if you are devoted to it, then yes, but if not, no. So ultimately, the conclusion I come to after looking at the definitions and everything is it is in the eye of the beholder whether Buddhism is a religion to someone or not. And from a psychology perspective, it basically, the easiest way to put it is yes, there can be different truths based on, people being different. And it's the truth to them. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's objective truth. It's sort of subjective based upon our experience and everything. And as I stated earlier, a religious practice doesn't sort of happen in a vacuum. There are going to be influences, your background, your family, your own life experiences, and then your experience with religion. All those things are going to come into play, and it's a very complex sort of process. And so I don't try to make any snap judgments or generalizations because I am aware that there are a lot of circumstances that are coming into play there. So ultimately, is Buddhism a religion? It can be A, B, C, or D here. It could be a philosophy to you, it could be a way of life to you, it could be a religion to you, or it could be none of those things. Maybe you don't even think about Buddhism. Maybe it's not relevant to your life. So NA. So it really depends upon our own perceptions, what definition of religion we're going to have, what our upbringing was, and all of those factors sort of coming together and creating sort of our own sort of perception, which, for better or worse, can be relatively accurate or can be way off the mark. It depends upon what the actual facts are, and those are verifiable facts. And I hate to say it, but in Buddhism, there's not a lot of verifiability when it comes to certain things, but those are the things that we take upon faith, such as the Buddha being a fully enlightened being, as one example. So I'm not sure what we're going to do in the next recording quite yet. I'm going to look through my topics and then I'll see what I can come up with. So until the next recording, everyone, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye for now.